Hey guys, it's Micah from Pulp Times. I am here doing a special interview with Kara Youngblood. Kara, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so most of you might know Kara because of her insanely popular TikTok and Instagram videos that she's done with your pumpkin carvings.
Uh-huh.
And we've written a couple of stories about this with Sepulpa Times. It seems like every October,
Mhm.
you like surface again,
Yeah.
and your views and stuff start climbing. And we were talking about what were the last set of pumpkins that you did was what were they? Because I know we've done several, but the big ones, the ones that made the biggest
The
amount of
biggest the
money.
biggest ones this past year were um Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins.
Okay.
I did a Kurt Cobain one that turned out to be an optical illusion that ended up with like 9 million views. And then Beyonce, she's always a popular one. And who else was really big this year?
Did you do Taylor this year? Was that
I did a Taylor Swift one this year, but she wasn't as popular as, well, I say that. I carved a new one this year of Taylor Swift and I posted it and it didn't get that many views. And then I posted the one I did last year and it got like 8 million views again. So I guess they liked the one I did last year better. I personally liked this year's better, but the algorithm didn't.
Well, so in that same kind of way, she's been building this platform up for the last several years, getting more and more views and people watching you for your pumpkin carving. But then, like a year ago or earlier last year, you wrote this book called Wildfire, a memoir. And so it is about a pretty difficult experience that you went through. And before we get back into the pumpkin stuff, why don't we talk about that for just a minute?
Okay.
So, give me kind of a summary of what the book is about.
Well, in 2014, I met a very bad guy, and he was a really good con man. Said he was an attorney, said he had a baby with a famous country singer, things that made him over the top cool, kind of, to a girl like me, I guess. And he ended up, I dated him for 3 weeks. It was a short relationship, it was an abusive relationship. He hurt me really bad, and then told me that he would hurt my kid if I told the police. And so I did not come forward. I did not tell him, I did not tell the police what he did to me because I didn't want my kid to be hurt. And so, but I got out of the relationship, safe. And so 6 months later, I get a message from another girl who had been hurt by him and really bad, and he had been arrested for hurting her. And but then they let him out the next morning, and so then I found out he hurt another woman that same week. And so I realized my me not coming forward to the police is getting these women hurt. Like I took the blame on me because I just felt like my silence was allowing him to continue.
No.
So
Okay.
I came forward and I filed my first police report in my entire life, and and wrote down all the horrible things that that man did to me, and expected we'll bring him in right away, ma'am. And long story short, that did not happen.
Yep.
Um, so I realized that the police were not going to stop this man from hurting other women. So I used my graphic designer skills. I opened Adobe InDesign and I created a flyer with his all of the facts of cases that were currently open, because when I met him, you couldn't really Google him. There was nothing negative on Google about him. Everything on Google was all this cool stuff, these cool businesses that he ran, just made him seem even cooler, not like a predator, right?
Right.
And 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 so I listed all the charges that he had against him. And me and another survivor, we rented a Mustang and we named it Wildfire because we were spreading the truth like wildfire. And we were very, very cheesy. And but we were singing that dumb 80s song that my mom used to love. Sorry, it's not dumb. Um, But we hung those flyers all over his hometown. And, you know, knowing we went to bed that night, knowing we had exposed a really bad man.
Yeah. Did you feel like you had been a little bit vindicated there because,
I did. I felt good. I felt like I finally stood up for myself. You know, I finally did something to warn other women about this guy.
right?
You know, you know, at first I was really mad at myself for being quiet. So now I'm not going to be quiet anymore, and I'll at least, you know, feel good about that decision that I didn't just let it eat at me.
Well, so one thing that we had talked about, but I think we forgot to mention last time we talked was, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you did say, because we talked about how the police didn't do anything, and I asked about whether uh, because there was a period of time that you had waited before you gone forward, maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah.
But you told me that the administration that's in the Sapulpa Police Department now is not the one that was
It
there.
is not. It is not.
Okay.
It was a different police chief at the time.
Okay.
So, yeah,
So you went to bed feeling good about yourself,
I did.
and then what happened next, Kara?
I got sued by the man that hurt me, and I ended up a judge ended up siding with him, and I was legally muzzled by the state of Oklahoma for warning women about a serial predator.
How is it that a judge came to that conclusion to where, because you told me before that the flyer that you posted didn't have any inaccurate information.
I
It
did
was
not.
court cases, court numbers, and photos of the victims, right? Is that right?
Yep, that is right.
Okay. And so how is it that a judge came to the conclusion that you should not talk about this and not try to warn anybody else about this guy?
He ruled that I had not followed the proper protocol in warning the public, like I was supposed to file Yelp reviews.
Yeah,
Um,
what does that mean?
I don't know.
What's
I
the
don't know.
proper protocol?
He also ruled that the damage done to him was greater than the damage done to me, and that someone may see the flyer and think lesser of him.
I mean, that was the point, wasn't it?
That was the point. Absolutely. It was the point was so a woman in his hometown could see it and think, "Oh, well this guy has multiple victims. Maybe I shouldn't date him
Right.
because I was conned by him and I feel like I mean, I don't think I'm that smart, but I mean, I, he's a good con man, you know. He's good.
Yeah, you talked about that, the manipulation and stuff, and you talk about that in the book even.
I do.
So you said that you were muzzled by the state of Oklahoma
I was
for, and you counted the days.
441 days. I was not allowed to warn a woman that he was would hurt them as he went on. Am I allowed to say this? To burn his initials on women with a cattle brand? Am I allowed to
Okay.
say that?
If is it can it be factually backed up with court
It
documents?
can be factually backed up with pictures from victims that are my friends.
Okay.
There you go.
So they did that. Okay.
Mhm.
And then you said that you got an attorney involved in helping to overturn your case, right?
I did. I I tried because at the time I was a single mom. Well, I'm still a single mom, but I was working two jobs, could not afford this high-powered attorney that I needed,
Hmm.
and I had some people start a GoFundMe, and then the judge forced me to take that down because if I didn't, I would be fined $10,000 or jail. I was actually for I was they anytime I warned a woman, I had to I faced $10,000 fines or jail time anytime that I even said that any if I repeated any of the facts on the flyer for that 441 days. Um uh,
That's what you were looking at, the fine of ten
that's what I
thousand
was
dollars.
looking at.
Okay.
Yeah. And so one of my high school friends, a guy that moved off, became a very successful businessman, reached out to me, said, Kara, I have a daughter. I cannot stand the thought of her growing up in a world where women aren't believed like this.
Hmm.
And he paid the rest of my retainer. And I got a really damn good attorney. And the second I got in his office and showed him what I was dealing with, he said, "Oh my gosh, no, this is in violation of your First Amendment rights." And after about 6 months. It took him about 6 months to get it overturned, and the judgment was overturned.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so now you're free to talk about it. And
Now I'm free to talk about. I mean, they said, don't, you know, don't. I mean, no one in the world is going to tell me not to say something, and I'm going to listen to them at this point.
okay.
So, yeah,
But now you're not legally
I'm
restricted.
not legally restricted from repeating the facts on the flyer or the facts about my life.
Well, so that was my question. So were you also barred from even talking about your own
I
experience?
was, I couldn't, yeah, because it was on the flyer.
Okay.
Uh-huh. So they even said I was not, they said once that I could not tell a therapist. I could not mention his name to a therapist.
Now, part of what you said that you also did is that you created kind of a group of these victims. You guys kind of created a little friend group to support each other. And you talked about you guys have done some traveling or stuff
We
together.
have, the girl that that I hung the flyer with, she's just awesome. And then I've wife number 4 is my very, very good friend. Wife number 5 is my very good friend. She just texted me a while ago. She's actually, you want to know what she just texted me about? She reached out to the state of Iowa recently to tell them to cancel her state insurance, and they ended up they ended up griping at her, and she said, well, I was trying to leave the man that was trying to unalive me,
Hmm.
and I wasn't thinking about my insurance when I was leaving the state, and they canceled it, but then they ended up giving him her new address.
Really?
Yeah, just yeah,
Wow.
I know.
And that just happened?
Yeah,
Came in?
this morning,
Goodness.
yeah.
Okay. Sheesh. Um, Goodness. Okay. Let's talk about the book then.
Okay.
When did you decide to write this memoir about this experience?
When I knew I was going to write a book, the when the in the injunction hearing, when I had lost, when they said I had lost my ability to speak about my experience, past, present, and future, I was like, okay, I know eventually I'm going to be coming back with a book at least, because I'm not going to be quiet about this forever. And um and and then last spring, I got a message from a survivor of this guy that he had hurt in the 90s. And she thanked me for not giving up and for standing up to her abuser.
Hmm.
And that was very powerful to me. And I was like, okay, well, he might be a free man right now. I hadn't started my book because I hadn't had the happy ending yet. He's a free guy, and that's not a very happy ending because he has over a dozen survivors over a period of 3 decades. And so him being out on parole is not a very happy ending. But when a survivor reaches out from the 90s thanking me for standing up to her bully, that was powerful, and uh, she said the young girl she was back then thanks me. And I mean, then I was like, well, there's my happy ending, because the young girl, little kid me thanks me. I'm at this point, I am proud of myself, and I will write a book because I I think other women need to see that they cannot back down too.
Um, yeah, your book is you've already told me a little bit about how your book has been an inspiration for other people that have
It's
gone
been nuts.
through
It's been so nuts. This one girl said it salved wounds she didn't know she had.
That's
I know, right? Another girl said it was essential 21st century reading. I'm okay. Um, just the responses have been overwhelming. I have a lady in Michigan making me a cape.
like a
It's
superhero.
Yes, and you know what? It's funny and silly that she is, but for so long it was I had about a handful of people that believed me and supported me, and I felt like Chicken Little. And so to have a lady in Michigan making me a cape, to have a lady in Australia who she makes it a point to post my flyer every single day.
Oh,
She's in
she,
Australia.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just some really cool people that I have met. I've got lots of followers that support me just for my story now, um and they didn't silence me in the long run.
So I do want to talk about that more in a minute, but going back to the pumpkin thing now, because there's a part where this connects here. So we were talking about how you've been growing this platform with the pumpkins and everything, and then I think you said it was Halloween of last year. You decided to actually out your abuser on TikTok, I guess it was, right? Because
Yes.
you were doing a pumpkin there, and I'm just curious. I don't know if I asked you this before, but like, how many people were tuning in at that time when that happened?
Last it was when last October when I first went really viral when the light bulb first went off in my head to do this. I was my first my first video that I posted, it was such an accident too. I was taking because my pumpkins look really dumb when the light is not on. They look really stupid. And so I wanted to show my high school friend how ugly they look with the light off. And so I took this Beyonce pumpkin and I took a little quick video, like 7-second video of me of my kid flipping the light on in the background, and so the pumpkin lights up and then all of a sudden it looks good. And I put it to music, and like the next day it's got 3 million views. And then my light bulb went off. I'm like, okay, I can post these little pumpkin videos, get lots of followers, and see what happens. And so last year I did that. And so this year, this past fall, I started I got my first pumpkin. I want to say it was like September the 4th.
Yeah.
It was stupid early. And I started carving them and I was getting millions of views, millions of views. My follower count kept coming up. And then on Halloween night, I carved my abuser and I posted the video. TikTok actually kind of throttled it down, but Instagram, it was pretty popular on Instagram.
Okay, so just for those of you who are wondering and watching, who is this guy? So just out of to err on the side of caution here, we are not going to release his name on
Did I
this
say it
show.
out
Yeah.
loud?
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Not that I'm aware of anyway. No, you didn't. But like she said before, and she said in her book that this case is Googleable. So,
It's
you
very
know,
Googleable.
yeah.
I've got a very weird, uncommon name, and
So it's not difficult to find.
uh,
So go do your own research there, and or you can go back and watch her Instagrams and TikToks and stuff. I assume those videos are still out there, right?
they are pinned to the top of my pages.
Okay, so so this is funny. This is such a interesting contrast to me, where you went out with your girlfriend and you took out flyers and hung them all over his hometown.
Hmm.
And how many flyers are we talking, incidentally?
We're talking. I mean, I think we made. I want to say we only hung like 30, probably.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay,
mean,
so not as many as I thought, really, then. But you got in trouble and sued for that.
yeah,
And then, I mean, I would say that reaching millions of people on Instagram and TikTok with this essentially the same information
yeah,
is an even more damaging thing to
yeah.
this
And
person.
because now, because he sued me, the flyer is public record. Which is, have you ever heard of the Streisand effect?
I've heard of it, but I don't actually know what it is.
Okay, I don't know the whole details, and I'm totally not a
Oh, I
lawyer.
think I do. Yeah, it's got to do with Barbara Streisand.
Yeah, and she had some property, and she
Yeah.
didn't want anyone knowing where she lived, so she filed this thing in court to keep her property hidden, but it made her address public. So
So, in his attempt to try and silence you, he actually ended up giving it a bigger audience in the end. In
yes,
the
and
end.
him trying to silence me only made me louder. Like I would have moved on. I hung my flyer and I felt really good about I stood up for myself. I warned some people. I
Hmm.
can move on.
Yeah.
But then the attempts to silence me, I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to be quiet. And then I'm forced into silence. I'm like, I'm really not going to keep being quiet. And I mean, that only made me louder. I mean, I had no choice.
So how did people respond after you outed your abuser on TikTok and Instagram? Is that where like the lady who's making you the cape and stuff, is that where they came from?
Yes, that I've got on Threads. I have such a big, sweet following, supportive, blind supportive. A lot of them have actually read my book. Some of them haven't. They're just there to watch me stick up to my bully, and it's amazing because I just it's nice to have the support. It's nice to have people tell me to keep going every day, and I don't take those words lightly at all.
So do you feel like um, do you feel like you've moved on, or had this become like a passion project of yours? Do you see yourself just always being tied to this experience
Um,
or what?
As far as moved on, like I consider myself a very happy person. I'm grateful. Like he didn't change me. I'm still a fun mom. I have my own design business. I still make stuff on things. As far as my book and teaching women to stand up for themselves, yeah, I'm always going to be tied to that.
Okay.
I'm always going to be tied to um, standing up to mean men. Absolutely.
Okay. And it sounds like you don't have any problem with being tied to that.
I don't. I don't. I feel like maybe it's what I was born to do. I don't know. I didn't mean to fall into this role, but it happened, and just to have people keep telling me, oh my gosh, this is legendary. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing something right.
Yeah, guess so. Okay, the book is called Wildfire, a memoir by Kara Youngblood. Kara, how do people find your book?
Well, it is available anywhere books are streaming, like Audible and Spotify and Apple Books, and anywhere you can buy books online. And it's on my website, spreadthewildfire.com. And if you can't afford it, I've got a free download as well. So lots of ways.
Okay. And I understand this isn't going to be the last time that we're going to be seeing or hearing from you on this either.
It is not, and I'm not allowed to say a lot, but I can give a hint. And I don't think I'm very good at like the charades thing, but popcorn is involved.
Popcorn. Okay. All right. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think we can take that
Is
hint
that
with us.
good?
So sure you'll keep us in the loop on that whenever you have more to share.
I will. I
Yeah.
promise I will when I can.
So, okay. All right, Kara, thanks for being here. We
Thank
appreciate
you
you
so
sitting
much
down
for
and sharing
having
your, yeah,
me.
happy to do it. Happy to share your story. Hope that we're able to make an impact in the lives of a lot of other women out there who might be dealing with the same situation, guys. So,
Yes, and I mean, and I've also got resources on my website for because I mean, obviously, I'm not a great counselor. I'm just a graphic designer, but I mean, I do have resources, a list of resources on my website of places to go if you need to get help, and people that will send Cash App cards and that kind of thing, because a lot of people who need to leave their situation don't have access to money. And that's why I offer my book for free because women sometimes don't have their own money.
okay, we'll be sure to leave links to a lot of these things, these resources, the website, into the description box. So you guys be looking for that. Kara, again, thank you for sitting down and talking with me
Thank
about
you.
it. We appreciate it very much. Guys, thanks for tuning into the Time Loop Live. I will see you again at the next episode. All right. Have a good one. We'll see you again when we talk about all things happening in the town that we love. Have a great day, everybody. Bye bye.